there! Welcome back, and today I am interviewing Teresa Taylor, who happens to be a phenomenal lender with the University Lending Group. I use University Lending Group, and Teresa has been taking care of my clients, and I thought this is a good opportunity to make a video, and we're going to keep going with more information on mortgages, the lending process. This is to help first-time buyers and also those of you who are looking to buy again, maybe a second home. We will touch on as many things as possible. Teresa, thank you for coming today.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for making time for me, Taryn.
Well, I think that we're going to start out with which comes first, the realtor or the lender. Like the chicken or the egg kind of thing. I will tell you right now, as a realtor, it's very important to have a local lender. And quite often, I deal with many people, and I know you guys go online and say, what can I afford? You do those online calculations. That's not a pre-approval. And I'm going to let Teresa explain that better than what I get.
Absolutely. And, that's a great question because, of course, most of the time, new homebuyers are contacting their trusted realtor in advance, like Taryn. And then Taryn will call me and say, well, they've been poking around online. They've been using mortgage calculators. And sometimes they have used online lenders. And it's very important for you to work with a local lender for a lot of different reasons. I actually do a full credit pull. And that's very important in the pre-approval process. I verify income, assets, and of course, there's a lot of moving parts to a pre-approval, but I think that, we take a look at monthly debt to income ratio, which is very important. And I've been finding some of these quote unquote pre-approval letters, they're not even pulling credit. So they're not seeing their monthly debts. And you can have a car payment up to $1,200. Sometimes we see that, and that affects your monthly debt to income ratios. So it's very important that you work with a lender that you know how they do their pre-approvals, number one. And number two, probably one of the most important pieces to a pre-approval is working with a local lender who works with local appraisers. As you know, in Washtenaw County, it's going to be a different market from Wayne County, from Lenawee County, from Midland County. I mean, I've heard horror stories of appraisers coming from, up in that area, and we need local appraisers. And that could be a huge difference, in their final moments of getting pre-approved, because of course your pre-approval depends on your appraisal.
Oh, I can testify to that because I personally had the experience of my own home being appraised, and I fell off my chair. And after I picked myself up, I said, who is this person? They were from like way up north.
Yeah.
Didn't even know the area. And they ended up bringing in someone else, totally redid the appraisal. It's like, what a headache. And for a lot of people, they would just say, well, I can't afford it, and they'll walk away. That's not what we want you to do. And I can't emphasize enough, and with all my clients, I say, don't do anything. They'll be like, well, I'm going to pay this off. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No. You talk to your lender. They're going to help you, tell you like, no, you don't have to pay off that credit card. You need to pay this one down a little bit, but you really need to do this instead. They're going to help you make the changes or help you along. So you might not be able to afford today, we'll say, maybe 3 months or 6 months, but you're going to kind of guide them along the way because you know what they're going to look at.
Absolutely. And a lot of the times, when we have people that are close to being pre-approved for what they want, they're not there yet. I can make helpful suggestions in terms of how to get their credit scores up, what debt they do need to eliminate in order to qualify for what they want to see. And I can let them know as well, don't create more debts. I hate to say this, when people are out there trying to buy a home, they're often out there as consumers shopping, creating more credit lines. That's going to be very important when you're in that process to freeze everything, and really focus on the items that you need to pay off so that you can reach your home goals.
So basically working together. And so now that we understand that, you want a good pre-approval, and there's no point in looking at homes you can't afford.
Yep.
You need to look at what you can afford. Now, another real fun little fact that we have is once you're pre-approved, what else might affect something? So let's say you're pre-approved for, we'll say 300,000 or more, whatever that is. Wherever you look in different areas, there's one thing that, other than like HOA fees, so if you're in an HOA, you have to consider that. But another one that people forget is the taxes.
Property taxes in our area can make a huge difference. And I'm talking about Washtenaw County, but I say this, and I did 3 transactions last year in Westland, and their property taxes are going up as well. And why is this? Because the property values are going up. So of course, Taryn and I were talking earlier because I live in a subdivision that she lived in many, many years ago, here in Ann Arbor, and my taxes, are capped because I bought the house in 2006. If I sold that house today, the property taxes would more than double. And that's a very important conversation that you need to have with the local lender, because if somebody's online and getting an online pre-approval, the person sitting in, St. Louis, Missouri, or wherever that approval comes from, they're not going to be able to talk to you about the local property taxes. And they're not going to be savvy enough to understand that they're going to go up. So that is another step that we take in our pre-approval process, because after they purchase the home, the assessment will go up to the property value that they purchased the home at.
So if you're looking, so I hand you a sheet. So your realtor will hand you a sheet, and you say, oh, what are the property taxes? Oh, these are so low. Wait a minute.
Right.
Those are the property taxes for that home. What I do this little cheat thing. It's called State of Michigan Property Tax Estimator.
Yep.
And it's based on like 1 or 2 years behind, but it's close enough that you can type in. So what you do is, if you're going to pay $400,000 for a house, half of that becomes the SCV, I think it's called.
Absolutely, the state equalized value.
Yep. And then they can type in like county and all that other stuff, and you get an idea of homestead, which is when you live in the home, or non-homestead, which is like a second home. And I have a bit of a bug about that myself. I mean, second homes, I think that you should get a deal, but anyhow. That way you get an idea, and they change from township to township.
Yes, they do.
I mean, you're just going to see them all change.
That's a very important point, Taryn, and that's something that I definitely talk to all of my clients who are getting pre-approved. I always talk about property taxes, because if you see those property taxes jump up, we need to take a look and make sure that you're still pre-approvable for that home. So it's kind of a case-by-case basis. And this morning I woke up, first email I got was about 7:30 in the morning, and it was about a house. Can we afford this? The taxes were very high, and the price was a little bit higher than what they were pre-approved for. So, I ran the numbers. I said, this is going to be really tight. You might be able to squeak by. I wouldn't recommend it, though.
So the last thing you want is to go through this entire process, put out money for an appraisal, for an inspection, and your time not looking for another property, only to have it fall through because you can't afford it.
Absolutely. And, we were talking about what listing agents look for in a pre-approval. So Taryn has a lot of listings herself. What do you look for when you are in a multiple offer situation and you have 4 or 5 offers sitting in front of you? What's going to be important to you?
Well, local lenders first, and I'll tell you why. I can call that local lender. Quite often, I will know him or her, and I know how they work. And I'll call them up and ask them very specific questions. I say there's a pre-approval. Do you guys use local appraisers? If I don't know, I ask that question. So this way I know it's local. You can have someone from out of out of the area that might not understand some nuances. I think you need to mention your favorite one because I deal with it all the time.
Yeah.
It's called Orangeburg. What is Orangeburg? My definition, you can look it up and, investigate. Basically, once upon a time, someone thought it was a brilliant idea to use cardboard piping for your plumbing line. Cardboard paper does not go that well with water.
Yeah, it's literally an organic material for sewer lines. And it actually lasted for a number of years, but we live in an area where there's a lot of Orangeburg. And we were talking about, before we started filming this, we are talking about some of the lenders that are from outside of the area that are not familiar with this, and their underwriters are not familiar with Orangeburg. And how I had to take over a loan because the underwriters threw it out there like, well, we can't approve a house with Orangeburg. Well, there's a huge population in Ann Arbor that lives in homes with Orangeburg right now, and most of it has been, taken care of by, a fantastic contractor in town. I mean, I feel like it's handled really well, but you have to have an underwriter that is going to be familiar with that. And that's going to be another reason why you might be able to have somebody across the country doing your pre-approval, but you really need to land with a local lender.
And by the way, when she mentioned underwriter, that comes into play once, if I'm working with you, buy a house, we go through the inspection, the appraisal, and then everything's all done, we're all good. The underwriter takes all this information to make sure that they like everything, and if they don't like it, we still, like she mentioned, what's in Orangeburg? Sorry, we can't do it. So we don't want that. We want everything to work right. So another thing I wanted to talk about, so you get your pre-approval and all that. Another thing that's really important, some people want to go to a bank. Some people have a credit union. I like university lending. I'll tell you why. The number one reason, they have tons of programs. Yes. Banks and credit unions are usually limited. Now, yeah, you can get a loan. Hey, I've got my car loan through UM. I mean, it's great. Home loan, I go to a lender that has a variety of different types of loans so that there's more to choose from, there's more opportunity, and a lot of different things, especially to help like first-time buyers, and a little bit more flexibility. So I'm going to turn that over to you.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of different programs. One of the programs that we've actually been using quite a bit is we have a bridge loan where the sellers can actually pull from their equity, and they can use those funds towards their closing costs, their down payment, of course, and they can even use that towards debts. So unfortunately, we are a very debt-heavy country, and right now we're at historic levels in terms of credit card debt. A lot of that credit card debt is, has some pretty high interest rates, and that's something that we actually had a closing recently where they use those funds through our bridge loan towards, again, their down payment, their closing costs, and they eliminated some credit card debt. They were thrilled with that. I think that later this year, we're going to see a lot more sellers hitting the market as soon as the interest rates come down. And I feel like that's really the sleeping giant out there right now is the pent-up seller demand that's going to be hitting. There's so many people that are waiting, which is tough. I mean, it's still going to be a good time to sell your home right now because it's so competitive and the inventory is so low. We really need people to get out there and list their homes. But for the people that are waiting for interest rates to come down, I think that that's going to hit really hard, probably later this summer or fall. I don't have a crystal ball, but...
No, they don't have a crystal ball, and they're talking most likely will be summer, but we know they can change their mind.
Yep.
And I do want to emphasize that bridge loans are great. This way you can buy a property, take your time to buy. It's not like oh my gosh, I sold my house. I have to find something in this frame of time. And nowadays that's not what you want to do. You'll probably buy something you don't want, or you get to move in with to the basement with your mother or somebody. I mean, I don't think you want to do that. So by having a bridge loan, you've got great equity in your house, and most people are flush with equity. So when you put an offer in, it's not contingent upon selling your home. So once you close, then you can get all your stuff out of your house, get it ready, and you don't have to live there while everybody comes through. Sell it.
And absolutely,
Yeah,
it's a great product if you want to take your time, because it is a temporary loan. But sometimes we have had the bridge loan product ready, and people close on their homes before they even move out, and kind of have some time to just use that bridge loan if they want it. If they don't have to use it. So it's been a really great product.
I think it's the way to go. It's definitely the way to go. And is there any other, so for a first time buyer, what product do you have that seems to be like a, real popular?
Well, of course we have the state bond MSHDA program.
Okay.
So that offers down payment assistance. We also have another program called the FHA Advantage. That also is a product with no income limits and just has to meet the FHA guidelines. That's a down payment assistance program as well. And of course, rural development. We don't talk about rural development enough. That's not a ULG product, but that's a government product that, when you're outside of the city, a lot of people use that 0% down. I mean, you really can't shake a stick at the rural loan products.
Oh, no. I mean, I've dealt with those before, and they're great for a lot of people. So there's all kinds of different, options for you out there. And the thing is, you need to talk to someone that knows these options. That's why I like Teresa, because she can go, well, here's one for you. Because once, in working with people, I mean, it's like, I know that with the MSHDA thing, different areas have different types of down payment assistance.
Absolutely.
And I ran into that with some time ago with the lender, and they just totally dropped the ball. We lost the house because we went through all that stuff, and they were just devastated. And it took them a while to kind of get back on their feet. And
I'm working with them right now. And when she's ready, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, what I'm talking
But
about.
when she's ready, I mean, I have experience with MSHDA loans. We're going to get her moving along, and she's going to be ready this time. And she definitely needed a lot of questions answered. And for first-time home buyers, we forget that sometimes those are doctors, and we have a fabulous doctor loan as well available for the new residents coming into our area.
Yes. Oh, yeah, the doctor loans.
Yeah. And we also, we have a portfolio loan, and our vice president, Eric Bradley, calls it kind of like a Play-Doh situation. You can make a giraffe one day, and you can make a elephant the next, because it really is about what the client needs and how we need that loan to fit into their parameter.
So we'll go into a deeper discussion for investors, and that's where portfolio loans come into.
Yes, absolutely.
I often, and I'm familiar with those. Email me, send me a question. I'm here for you, as is Teresa, because her information will be down below in the description. Reach out to us, and we're here to help you.